Greetings. My name is Dr. Kendra Lewis-Strickland. Join me on my journey to becoming Dr. Lewis-Strickland. I completed my Doctorate of Education in Organizational Leadership with the emphasis in higher education leadership from Grand Canyon University in May 2021. My dissertation was entitled The Narrative Inquiry of the Leadership Resilience Experiences of Black Women in University Dean Positions.
Why did you decide to pursue a doctorate degree?
I decided to pursue my doctorate in education specifically because I knew how much I enjoyed higher education. When I started working in higher education, I kind of fell into it. It was nothing that I chose to do. It was something that someone saw a skill set in me and I continued in. And as I was kind of going through my career, really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to kind of make an impact in higher education, I knew I was going to hit a glass ceiling at some point. And I knew to reach a leadership position, it was important for me to have a doctorate, but it was even more important for me to understand how higher education worked, the history of higher education, the role of higher education in society, and what I thought my skill sets and contribution to higher education can be. So that's how I decided to choose to pursue my doctorate.
Can you speak to the stigma of an online doctorate being less rigorous than an in-person doctorate program, and an EDD being less rigorous than a PhD?
It's very interesting because the percentage of individuals who have a doctorate is very small. But inside of that percentage, it's almost this feeling of elitism. It's this feeling between the online education versus an in-person. For so long, traditionally, the only way to receive or pursue a doctorate has been on campus, in person. And over the last maybe 10, 15 years, this online community has really started to flourish. There is inside of there this kind of elitist feeling where an online education is not as rigorous or robust as an in-person. And anytime I have that conversation, and I sometimes get that feeling from people when they ask, where did I receive my doctorate? And at first it really did bother me because I remembered the late nights I was up, the conversations I was having with professors, the conversations I was having and enlightening my peers who were in in-person or on-campus traditional programs. And I was really kind of frustrated by that. But then it made me realize that what I know is what I know. And an online program is honestly, to me, more difficult than an in-person, because in person, you have class from X time to X time, and you're very lockstep in where you're going. And that may be your only focus or your primary focus. Whereas as an online student, that was not the case with me. Yes, we had class time, but I had to stay on top of myself.
How important is it to choose a dissertation topic that you are passionate about?
Your dissertation topic was always kind of told to me this is what people are going to know you for. This is what your research kind of life is going to start with. It can evolve, it can shift, it can find a different domain, but this is where you're really going to start to cement yourself as an expert. So for me, it was highly important that I found something I was really passionate about. And it's interesting because my dissertation topic started different than it ended. The broad topic was always going to be around professional development, leadership development, something of that sort. But I started off looking at a population of women in athletics, in collegiate athletics. Because like I said, at the time, I was really trying to figure out which way I wanted to go. Did I want to stay in industry? If I stayed in higher education, where did I really fit? And so I started to really look at Black women in athletic administration roles. And as I did, my population and topics started to change. It stayed with leadership development. I knew that's what I wanted to really study because I knew that there's not a lot of faces that look like mine in leadership. How can I help to change that narrative? I didn't know exactly where I would end up, but I knew that was the direction I wanted to go in.
Why did you choose to find a gap in existing literature instead of replicating existing research?
Yes, there's some individuals that will say, oh, I just want to replicate a study, that let's just see if it's a valid study. And that's a way to go. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that if you're more on a quantitative science. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's really important, and especially as people of color, as Black folks, that we really find the areas of which we are interested in, that there is a gap. Because oftentimes when you walk into that gap, there's either nobody there or nobody that looks like you. So you set yourself up to be an expert, and unfortunately, you may become a token individual that they go to as somebody to sit on diversity panels. But that's okay to lean into that, because now you're setting yourself up as an expert. You are coming from your frame of reference, which is of a Black person, a person of color, or if you are a woman, you add that intersectional lens to it. So you are taking a gap of which you like to explore, and you're setting a very new framework, a very new way of looking at that particular issue from your standpoint. So it's more than important to find something that you're interested in, locate the gap there, and really shoot the gap, as football players say. Really get in there and really figure out how you can really make change there, how your frame of reference, how your standpoint can really address that. Because then you're setting yourself up in a small group of individuals as somebody who stands out.
Please speak to the importance of a doctoral student having a work-life balance.
Work-life balance was so important for me. I'm one of those people that really work hard. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it 110%. And very early in my doctoral journey, I was really feeling burnt out because I was working. I had a husband. We were looking for a home to purchase. I had just moved to the area. And I was trying to get back in the flow of school, the writing the papers and the theorizing and all of that. And so it was really difficult and challenging at times. And I really started to find myself to be burnt out. And so for me, I just kind of had to stop and say, okay, I've got to get organized. And I really had to set times for myself that I could work and really kind of address things. And I also built in like self-care time, whatever that may be, whether it was alone time, whether it was time with my husband, whether it was a phone call with my line sisters, what have you. But I really set myself, really kind of tried to organize myself. And not even to the point that every minute of the day was organized, but at least I knew, okay, when I get home, I'm going to spend 2 hours reading this article. And sometimes that was a little too much. My goal may have been, I need to read these 2 articles, however long it takes me to read them. If that means I stop to have dinner with my husband, or I need to go for a walk, or I need to just watch this TV show I've been trying to keep up with, then that's what I was going to do. But by the end of the night, I'm going to have these 2 articles read. So it was trying to set these various milestones for myself based on the level of energy I had.
What made you decide to join the Black Doctoral Network?
I was in an online program. And so the community piece was a little harder to build. And I wanted to be in a group of individuals, whether, their degree, domain, what have you, a group of individuals that had doctorates and could understand maybe some of the challenges that I was going through. I literally had no idea about the network until I just did a Google search on doctoral groups and BDN popped in. And I kind of explored it. I looked around and I was like, oh, they have games. They do this, they do these different things. Oh, then they have conferences. Oh, so there's rigor to it. It's not just a social gathering. There's actual professional development opportunities. And for me, I wanted to do that. I said, well, that's what I'm looking for. I want to be able to socialize with individuals that are doing things that I'm doing or maybe interested in the same things. But at the same time, I want the rigor behind it. I want for us to elevate each other. I want to talk with people who are publishing, thinking about publishing, who are doing great studies and doing great work. And I just knew from my study the percentage of Black people that had doctorates. And I knew it was so small that I needed to find that community of whomever that may be. And even from just being a part of this, I've heard about other opportunities. I've heard about other organizations. I've seen people writing in journals that I was like, I need to be publishing in that journal. And so just even that kind of thing has been really great. But I think I found BDN because I was looking for community. And I was looking for something different than my professional organizations, which is only rigor, which is just about churning out the things, the webinars, all those things. I wanted something that was in the middle. And I think the Black Doctoral Network is doing a good job of that, of providing social opportunities, but at the same time, very rigorous conversation.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Becoming Doctor podcast. We'll see you next time.